The night was warm, a soft blanket of summer heat draped over the outer suburbs of San Diego, where the air carried the faint tang of salt from the distant Pacific. In a modest single-story house with chipped blue paint, 3 men sat in a backyard glowing under strings of Edison bulbs. Ethan, Caleb, and no retired Marines, brothers not by blood but by battles fought and scars earned, had carved out this ritual years ago. Once a month, they gathered around a weathered fire pit, the grill hissing with steaks, cold beers sweating in their hands, and stories swapped with the ease of old friends. It wasn't about the food or the tales, not really. It was about anchoring themselves to something solid in a world that too often slipped away like sand. The fire pit crackled, casting red flickers across their faces. Ethan, the quiet one, sat with hands scarred from years of service, his eyes scanning the dark like they always did, catching details others missed. Caleb, louder, leaned forward, a beard dangling between his fingers, mid-story about a desert patrol gone wrong, his laugh cutting through the stillness. Noah, the observer, poked at the embers with a rusted iron rod, his smile faint but warm. Tom Petty's voice buzzed softly from a battered Bluetooth speaker, blending with the distant thud of a soccer ball and a dog's lazy bark. This was peace, hard-won and fiercely guarded. Across the street, a porch light snapped on, bathing an empty lawn in harsh yellow. A shadow lingered behind a curtain, too still, too long, before vanishing. None of the Marines noticed. Not yet. Maybe it was the beers, the steaks cooling in foil, or the stubborn hope that some corners of the world could stay untouched. Whatever it was, it let the darkness creep closer, step by silent step, until it stood just outside their walls, waiting. At exactly 1:04 a.m., 3 sharp knocks shattered the night. Saw bam! 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 Saw the front door rattled, the sound heavy, deliberate, like a fist demanding surrender. The laughter died. Caleb's bottle froze halfway to his lips. Noah set the rod down without a sound, his body coiling. Ethan rose slowly, his chair creaking, his broad shoulders rolling back like a predator rousing from sleep. A voice sliced through the dark, too loud, too hard. HOA patrol! Open up, saw now, saw! Caleb's brow furrowed. Homeowners Association? At 1 in the morning? Noah's eyes narrowed, catching the wrongness in the air. The voice barked again, sharper. Your VYO lad in quiet hours! Open the damn door! Then came another sound, metal scraping, the unmistakable snap saw of a baton extending. Caleb's fists clenched, his easy grin gone. Ethan's gaze locked on the door, unblinking. The Marines weren't scared. They weren't confused. They were calculating, reading the moment like a battlefield. The door shook under another blow. Saw crack. Saw Caleb muttered, low and guttural. Something's off. Way off. Noah flicked off the porch light, plunging the backyard into shadow. Boots scuffled outside, whispers hissing more than one voice. They were staging. Seconds stretched, taut as a wire, and then the door exploded inward. Splinters flew, hinges screamed, and 3 figures stormed through the dust, clad in black, faces masked, batons and flashlights in hand. No words, no warnings, just raw threat. They weren't HOA. They were predators, and they just kicked down the wrong door. The intruders moved with rehearsed menace, spreading out to control the room. The first, Batons swinging loosely, strode forward, expecting fear to clear his path. The second, a GoPro blinking red on his chest, hovered back, hands free to record submission. The third, taller, weaponless, carried himself with the arrogance of command. Noise complaint! He bellowed, voice staged, performative. You think you're above the rules? The words weren't a question, they were a sentence, meant to crush. Outside, the neighborhood stayed dark. No lights, no curious faces. Fear had rooted deep here, sown by weeks of midnight VY-sits, slashed tires, and whispered threats. But inside, the air shifted. Ethan stood centered, hands loose, his stare pinning the leader like a blade. Caleb rocked back on his heels, finding his balance, humor replaced by something feral. Noah slid left, silent, cutting off the nearest exit. 3 men trained to act while others froze. 3 brothers who'd faced worse than batons and bravado. The intruders didn't see it, but they felt it a chill, a tightening, like the moment before a storm breaks. They thought they'd cornered Civy Lien's soft targets who'd crumble under a raised voice. That was their first mistake. Their second was belying they still held the reins. Ethan moved first, a blur of controlled violence. He surged forward, shoulders slamming into the tall leader's chest with the force of a freight train. The man staggered, gasping, crashing into the jagged doorframe, wood splintering around him. Caleb was already moving, ducking the baton wielder's wild swing. A twist, a yank, and the baton clattered uselessly across the floor. Caleb's palm drove into the man's chest, sending him sprawling into a side table that collapsed with a crash. Noah struck last, precise as a sniper. The GoPro man barely registered the shift before a beer bottle smashed across his temple. The camera jerked, catching a blur of his fall before cutting out. He crumpled, the rug muffling his drop. 8 seconds. That's all it took. No shouts, no wasted moves, just muscle memory honed by years of war, flipping on like a switch. The intruders lay sprawled, one moaning, another blinking at the spinning ceiling, the third still. Ethan loomed over them, breathing steady. Caleb brushed glass off his sleeve, unbothered. Noah righted a chair, grabbed a fresh beer, and sat like the fight was just a hiccup in their night. The fire pit's crackle drifted through the open door, the only sound in the heavy silence. The message was clear: Saw you don't kick the door of men who've walked through hell and come back standing. Saw. The neighborhood stirred. Porch lights blinked on, timid at first. Curtains parted, eyes peering into the dark. A woman in a bathrobe stumbled forward, voice breaking. That's them, she whispered, pointing at the zip-tied intruders. They came to my house, threatened my kid for playing too loud. An older man, flashlight trembling, nodded. They slashed my tires. Said it was a fine for my lawn. Whispers grew into confessions. Pets gone, cameras smashed, threats slipped through mail slots. The intruders weren't enforcers. They were a gang, cloaked in fake HOA patches, preying on silence. Ethan zip-tied their wrists, Caleb dragged a chair to seat 1, and Noah stripped them of batons, pepper spray, and a hidden GoPro. The invaders' faces, once masked, now lay bare, ordinary, unremarkable, stripped of their fake power. The Marines didn't speak. They didn't need to. The neighbors, gathering outside, felt it to a shift from fear to defiance. Police lights swept the street, red and blue pulsing like a heartbeat. San Diego PD swarmed, weapons low, eyes scanning. The broken door and battered intruders told a story, but the Marines' calm raised questions. A sergeant, young but sharp, approached Ethan. Step back, sir. We've got it. Ethan complied, hands Sybil, moving slow. Caleb and Noah followed, fading into the background. An officer pulled a cheap badge from one intruder's jacket. Saw HOA enforcement. Saw. Another unzipped a duffel, revealing batons, pepper spray, and spreadsheets listing names, addresses, even kids' school routes. The sergeant's face hardened. Doubt vanished, replaced by cold focus. He glanced at Ethan, then the busted door. Military? Ethan nodded, pointing at the splintered frame. 3 Marines. That's all you need to know. The sergeant gave a slow nod, not a salute, but close. By morning, the story exploded. Headlines screamed, Saw veterans crush fake HOA gang in midnight clash. Saw. Photos of the broken door and confiscated gear flooded feeds. Ethan, Caleb, and Noah, names long absent from the spotlight, were now heroes. Neighbors spoke out, their fear replaced by gratitude. Forums buzzed with similar stories. Fake enforcers, late-night demands, communities cowed. The intruders, it turned out, were part of a statewide racket, orchestrated by a disgraced lawyer who'd weaponized fear for profit. One invader cracked, spilling names, exposing 12 other teams. The Marines shrugged off the hero label. Just hobvying a barbecue, Ethan said, almost smiling. Wrong backyard, Caleb added with a grin. Noah, silent, let the busted door speak for him. The neighborhood changed. Potlucks replaced paranoia, security systems went up, and holiday lights burned brighter. Ethan kept a splintered piece of the door above the Gorilla Quiet trophy. Weeks later, in a Stark courthouse, the intruders faced justice. Guilty pleas piled up: home invasion, assault, conspiracy. Sentences were heavy years, no parole for the ringleaders. The judge's voice was steady, the verdict louder than any gavel. For the Marines, it wasn't about the courtroom. It was about ensuring no one else lived in fear. Back at the house, the ritual resumed. 3 chairs, a fire pit, steaks sizzling. Noah strummed a guitar, chords drifting into the night. They didn't talk about the fight. Some things didn't need words. The broken door was fixed, but its scar remained, a reminder that peace isn't free. It's earned, defended by men who know its cost and fight for it anyway. And on those nights, with smoke curling under the stars, justice tasted like char-grilled steak, quiet, smoky, and shared among brothers.